Access Credit Union has always been at the heart of our community through good and bad times. We want to continue to play our part in helping our community through the COVID-19 crisis. As businesses reopen, we encourage our community to work together by staying local, borrowing locally, and spending locally. Access Credit Union is here to help.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star, and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On Saturday, the West Cork ladies returned to CIT in a bid to stop Mourneabbey claiming their 7th senior county title in a row. On today's podcast, we'll be joined by West Cork full forward Libby Coppinger to preview what will be a repeat of the last two senior county finals. We'll also get the thoughts of manager Brian McCarthy, and we'll be asking him what he thinks it will take to stop the dominant force that is Mourneabbey. A little later on, we'll be heading over to Italy to chat to Skibbereen rower Lydia Heaphy, who claimed gold at the European Under-23 Rowing Championships in Duisburg last Sunday. But Kieran, first, let's get your 5 biggest takeaways from the weekend that was.
The Clonakilty ladies are going up to the senior football ranks next season after they won the county intermediate football final against Glanmire last weekend. Clon went in as underdogs, but they won 2-8 to 0-11, with Orla DC scoring 2 goals. Moving now on to the men's Premier Senior Football Championship, and Castlehaven's huge win over Island Rovers 4-19 to 2-4 has seen the Haven take the one automatic semi-final spot that was up for grabs. For Island Rovers, they're now stuck in a relegation playoff against Bishopstown. Moving to Camogie now, goals from Linda Collins and Christine O'Neill have sent Courtesy Rovers through to the semi-final of the County Senior Camogie Championship. They beat St. Catherine's 2-9 to 1-6 last weekend in a quarter-final, and Courtesy's now played Douglas this Sunday in a county semi-final. Going back now to the Premier Senior Football Championship, and Newcestown's superb season is continuing. After the hurlers progressing to the knockout stages of their competition, the footballers are through to the quarter-final of the Premier Senior Football Championship, and in the process they've knocked out Carbery Rangers. Newcestown beat Ross 2-12 to 2-9, so like I said, their good season continues. We're going to finish up this week with the Skibbereen Roars. 3 Skibbereen Roars went to the European Under-23 Rowing Championships in Duisburg, Germany last weekend, and they all came home with medals. There was gold for Lydia Heaphy, there was silver for Aoife Casey, and there was bronze for Emily Hegarty. So fantastic stuff from the Skibbereen Roars, and indeed the whole Irish team that went to the Under-23s, because they brought home 5 medals in total.
Lovely stuff, Kieran. Well, on Saturday at 5pm, the West Cork ladies return to CIT to take on Mourneabbey in what will be a repeat of the last 2 senior county finals. All-Ireland champions Mourneabbey were victorious on both occasions, and they go in search of their 7th consecutive title this weekend. West Cork blew away Aghada in their semi-final, winning by 30 points, scoring 9 goals in the process. Mourneabbey went 10 points better in theirs, beating Éire Óg by 40 points, scoring 11 goals. In a few minutes, we're going to chat to Libby Coppinger and Brian McCarthy. But first, Kieran, I want to get your own thoughts on the game. We're unlikely to see as one-sided a game as we saw in both semi-finals this Saturday, are we?
It's not going to be that one-sided. There were 2 exceptional performances by Mourneabbey and West Cork. What we have, again, we have the 2 best teams through to the final, and Mourneabbey and West Cork have been a class above the other teams over the last couple of years, and it's fair to say too that Mourneabbey have been a class ahead of West Cork. Like you said there, Jack, they're going for the 7 in a row. They're back-to-back All-Ireland senior champions. They're an incredible team. They're packed with talent, and I think it's pretty obvious for West Cork that Mourneabbey's manager described their semi-final performance against Éire Óg, where they scored 11-12, as the most complete performance of his 7 years in charge. You know, when they're motoring that well, they're coming off the back too of a very long break because of COVID, and a silver lining for Mourneabbey is it probably gave them a chance to rest, because they've been on the go for so long. Like you mentioned there, All-Ireland campaigns, Munster campaigns, Cork campaigns, so many players involved with the Cork senior football team, colleges football and so on. So Mourneabbey are refreshed and ready, and they'll be pretty hard to stop, I think, on Saturday in CIT.
Yeah, well, Kieran, you mentioned the talent that Mourneabbey have, and obviously amongst their 15 starters on Saturday, there's going to be some of the best footballers in the country. But if you could just give us a few names who people can look out for this Saturday. The game will be streamed live online, of course. So who are some of the Mourneabbey players that West Cork, I suppose, need to stop, and who people watching at home can look out for?
When you think of Mourneabbey over the last couple of years, you think of the O'Sullivan sisters. There's 3 or 4 of them there, and Darren and Ciara are probably the two best known. Darren's an unbelievable forward. She's been so unlucky with injuries in the last couple of years, but she was player of the match in last year's county final against West Cork. I think she got 2-7 that day, but she just tormented West Cork. She's an incredible talent. She can score from distance, she can score inside. She's just super, super dangerous. Ciara Din, her older sister, is another absolutely brilliant player and very, very hard to stop. There's Breed Sullivan, Roisin Sullivan, you've Laura Fitzgerald, who got 5-4, I think, against Éire Óg in the last game. They have a young forward called Ellie Jack, who's been racking up the points too. In their group stage game against Éire Óg, Ellie Jack got 9 points. So they have a scoring threat all over the pitch. Just look back to last year's county final, again up in CIT, again Mourneabbey against West Cork, and Mourneabbey blitzed West Cork. They had 4-2, 4-3 up inside 20-22 minutes. The game was effectively over then. So it's so important that West Cork hang on to Mourneabbey. They cannot let Mourneabbey get a fast start, because if they do, I don't think there's any team better than Mourneabbey in defending a lead. If Mourneabbey build up 5, 6, 7, 8 point lead the next day, I think they'll be very, very hard to stop. Okay, well, you mentioned that the West Cork ladies need to keep it tight for the first 15-20 minutes, we'll say. So that's one key to victory. What are some of the others? I think West Cork have to be absolutely ruthless and clinical in front of goal. And to be fair to them, they got 9 goals against Aghada in the semi-final. And just on that point, when I spoke to their manager Brian, who we'll hear from in a few minutes, he actually told me they could have had more goals in that game. So 100%. At the start of the second half, they left 3 good goal chances behind them. They need to be clinical and they need to be ruthless, because they're not going to get that many goal chances against Mourneabbey on Saturday night. Like, we know that for a fact. So whatever chances West Cork get, they have to take. In fairness, Fiona Keating was clinical against Aghada. I think she had 5 shots on goal and she had 5 goals. She was ruthless, and that's the sort of level that West Cork need to hit on Saturday night. Because if you go back, West Cork drew at Mourneabbey in the group stages of this competition, but that's a game West Cork could and should have won, but they missed chances that game. West Cork beat Éire Óg in the group stages, but again, one of the takeaways was West Cork left chances behind them. They missed too many goals, missed too many points. They earned that out to a big extent against Aghada. They were a lot more clinical. You can see that by score 9-15 is a huge score. But I remember after the game that day, the West Cork players, they still were not happy with themselves, which is actually a very good sign. Even though they'd beaten Aghada by 30 points, they still felt that their performance against Éire Óg was a better overall performance than what they put in against Aghada. So West Cork need to work really, really hard. And there is a good work rate about the team this year, but it starts right at the start with Libby Coppinger full forward and goes the whole way back. Because I think West Cork this year, they're a very mobile, fast team, but they're probably missing a bit of physicality because they've lost Niamh Cotter and Claire O'Leary from their midfield. And they're 2 big, strong, powerful footballers. And as you'll hear from the chat with Brian McCarthy soon, West Cork do not have a settled midfield. And that's not ideal going into a county final. In their 3 different games, they've used 3 different formations. You've had Melissa Duggan in there. They've had Eve Murphy, who's an injury concern. Siobhan Courtney's been there. So they've been mixing and matching. And again, like I said, it's not ideal going into a county final. You want to be fairly settled in midfield and around that middle 8. Well, you mentioned some of the names there that are going to have to perform well, the likes of Fiona Keating. You mentioned Melissa Duggan, Libby Coppinger. But you would think that for West Cork to have any chance against Mourneabbey, they'll need their full 15 and their full subs bench to have the games of their careers. 100%. We haven't even mentioned Anya Terry O'Sullivan, who's the West Cork captain. She got 2-7, 2-8 against against Ada, and she's out to wing forward this year, and she's playing really well out there. But it's a West Cork team. I suppose we can't forget it's full of talent. Kind of Emma Spillane at wing back was really good, I thought, against Ada. You've the two Kylies, Emer and Dara Kiley. Melissa Duggan is getting better and better and better. I'm expecting a big game off her the next day. Even the likes of Rachel Murphy, Lisa Hart in the half forward line. It's a really good West Cork team. Sarah Hayes again, full back, another player who will need a big game the next day. I think it's worth mentioning too the fact that Clonakilty won the intermediate football championship. That means they're going senior next year. And Martina O'Brien, the Cork and Clonakilty keeper, is obviously number one for West Cork, and she's such a leader in the West Cork team. She's so vocal. She's an absolutely brilliant person to have in a team because she just issuing instructions, encouragement, and so on. So I'm not saying it feels like it's the last chance for West Cork because they come back year after year. If you look at this West Cork team over the years, they've lost Kinsale, then they lost Bantry, then they got Bantry back in. Now the Clan players are going to move on. So I just think it's a big opportunity for West Cork on Saturday, but everything needs to go right. Everything really has to go right.
And Kieran, this is obviously going to be played out in front of basically no spectators at the ground. Do you think that is really going to be a factor in this game? Is it going to favour either side, or can you just see it not being a factor?
I think the players are already getting used to playing in front of no crowds now. Kind of like in the semi-final, I was at West Cork Ahada, and that was in Clodove, and you would find stand there and it was empty. So I suppose the players are getting used to that. Would it work to any side's advantage? I don't know. If I had to say, it could probably work to West Cork's advantage a small bit more because Mourneabbey are a team who are so used to the big occasions and crowds at the finals and so on. And maybe the West Cork players aren't as much. So if there's no crowd there, maybe it might help them kind of nerves and so on a small bit more. But it's just a shame because you look at CIT, and I know no fans are left into games, but you could get supporters into the stand in CIT, and you could have them socially distanced.
There's no point in going down that rabbit hole because you'll be here all day.
It's such a shame, but the good thing is the game is being streamed, so hopefully loads of people will tune in to watch it because it will be a very, very good game.
And just one more point I want to touch on before we get your prediction and hear from Libby and Brian. This is obviously the third year in a row that these sides have met at this stage of the competition. There's been other clashes in group stages, etc. But there really does seem to be some needle between these two sides, which only builds up the anticipation from a watching public's perspective. So can you see that developing again on Saturday evening?
When you say needle, what I think it's just this rivalry that's developed, and it's been so good for ladies football in Cork.
That's what I mean. It just makes it all the more interesting.
Because this West Cork team has had its detractors over the last couple of years, and there's still people cribbing, no, West Cork shouldn't be there, there shouldn't be a divisional team there, their pick is too big and so on. But I'd always counter that by saying that like this West Cork team, a divisional team, is giving junior intermediate players from across a huge division a chance to play senior football. And
they're giving Mourneabbey a real rival as well.
That's exactly it, because if you took West Cork out of the County Senior Football Championship, no disrespect to the other sides, but Mourneabbey would walk it every year. But over the last 5 seasons, West Cork have managed to beat Mourneabbey twice in group stage games. Go back to the county final 2 years ago, and it finished a draw in the first game before Mourneabbey won the replay. So West Cork are giving Mourneabbey probably some of their hardest games that they face every year. So I think there's a healthy respect between the teams. There is a rivalry there. There really is a rivalry. And if there's no quarter asked or given, and you wouldn't expect there either, because you have so many county players on both teams as well. You know, kind of there's an awful lot at stake. But I think having a West Cork team is so important. And I've even a piece in this week's Star Jack. I worked out how many players have played championship minutes for the West Cork team since they came on board back in 2016, their first game against North Cork.
You really love pain, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of. I always start off with the greatest intentions, and then halfway through I'm kind of regretting why I started in the first place. But it was actually it was really interesting to see how many clubs have been represented in this West Cork team, how many players have played championship minutes, and it kind of brought it home to me again how important this West Cork team is, because right across the division from Beirut to kind of Kinsale, you've had talented young players and talented players get the opportunity to play the senior football championship, and then off the back of that, then the Cork management have seen these players kind of evolving, growing, maturing, improving, and they're getting caught up into the Cork senior team. So I think it's been win-win.
Okay then, Kieran, before we throw to Libby Coppinger to preview Saturday's final, it's prediction time, and I want to get your prediction for the game.
The heart has to say West Cork, because obviously the Southern Star is West Cork based, and I really hope they can do it, but the head is saying Mourneabbey.
Okay, lovely stuff, Kieran. Well, let's hear from inside the West Cork camp now. Earlier, Kieran caught up with Brian McCarthy, but first, Libby Coppinger.
It's the week of a county football final, Libby. What's your preparation for the week? Can you talk me through the next couple of days, how you prepare for Saturday's county final?
So I guess it's kind of just trying to get our last bit of training in, and then try and maximise on recovery and everything. So we've training tomorrow night and Thursday night, and then just trying to get the few final things all squared away and make sure we're ready for it, and then just recovery again. So making sure you're taking your time off and sure trying to get to the sea or something while it's still some way warm. But yeah, that's what the week looks like.
For West Cork now, you must be well used to the build-up to county football final. It's the third year in a row that you're going to face Mourneabbey, but it's also the third year in a row that you've been in a county final. So even the experience, especially for the younger girls, to be involved in that build-up the couple of days beforehand, and even the day itself, you'd hope that would all count towards something on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Experience is definitely key, and I'd say it kind of has come against us maybe the first year and even last year and stuff. We've a lot of young girls still, and it's a big occasion. Even the parade around the pitch and stuff, it's something you wouldn't be used to. So yeah, the experience will definitely stand to us, and it's good to kind of have that under our belt now leading up to Saturday. Even though it'll be a bit different than the last couple of years, but it'll be good to have that bit of experience anyway.
And even the experience, I suppose, of last year's county final, even though it didn't go West Cork's way, Mourneabbey's fast start did 4 goals inside 23 minutes, and it effectively ended the game quite early. Will that be playing in your minds a small bit going into this? Because we know how good Mourneabbey are. They're a fabulous football team. So will you be very conscious to keep it tight at the start and not give them a head start?
Yeah, look, that was definitely a big issue for us last year. It was way too hard to come back from, and we had a better second half, but it was just bridging the gap wasn't possible. So I think, look, if we're gonna beat them at all this year, we'll have to play for the full 60 minutes. So that comes from having a good start, and I think a good start actually helps you for the rest of the game. It just settles you nice and early. So we'll be hoping for that next Saturday. If it doesn't go to plan, we'll hopefully be able to get on anyway. But it'll be aiming to go from the first whistle to the final whistle anyway.
We talked about experience there, and if we look at this West Cork team again, you've a very experienced core to the team. Obviously, Martine O'Brien in goal, you've Melissa Duggan, you've Arna Terry, and yourself as a full forward now. How are you finding life as a number 14?
I suppose it's a bit easier. I'm letting all the girls do the hard work for me. But yeah, look, West Cork, it's crazy when you look at the people involved with Cork and just involved in clubs in Cork. So the experience is definitely massive, and Martina is just such a steady voice at the back, and then Terry's a great leader up front as well. So we have leaders all over the pitch, which is great. And we'll need everyone to stand up to it on Saturday.
Like I mentioned there, you're in it full forward this year, and you've been setting the scoreboard alight. You've 2 goals against Éire Óg, 1-4 against Aheda in the semi-final, and 1-3 the first day out against Mourneabbey. What's it like you're such a versatile player. You can play in a variety of positions, both football and camogie, but as a football full forward, how are you finding that?
I suppose it's a bit different, I guess, with Cork the last couple of years. I probably would have been more corner forward position, so I'd be a bit used to the full forward line. But it all, obviously, if I'm getting the scores, it means someone else is giving the ball into me, and I think that's something that really was bought into this year, West Cork. It doesn't matter who's scoring as long as we're getting the scores. You're giving it to the person in the right position. But like, yeah, again, it's kind of all about the ball coming into you. You know, if the ball coming in isn't good, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. And like the girls have been very good. You know, it can be frustrating in there when the ball isn't coming in. But I think, like, I suppose a kicking game has been more brought into us. Like, we've had more of a kicking game this year, and the ball has been going in that bit faster, which is great. And you're happy enough to stay inside there when the ball is coming in. But yeah, with regards to scoring, I know I was told after the Mourneabbey match, I reckon he needed to get a bigger goals for me anyway, because I missed enough that day still. So yeah, look, as in, you'll take the chances anyway and hope they go over.
Was your father watching on so against Ahead when you got the 1-3, 1-4? Kind of, was he impressed with what he saw that day?
Yeah, I still missed an open goal though, so that was definitely brought up when I got home. But yeah, I suppose like with that had a sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, Libby, I suppose with looking at that Ahead performance, kind of what stood out to me that day was West Cork was so ruthless and clinical. Like, he got 9 goals, he could have got a couple of more, but when you look at the 2 games beforehand against Mourneabbey and Éire Óg, the talk was West Cork need to be a bit more ruthless, a bit more clinical, and you are that against Ahead, and yet there still is room for improvement. So you're in a good place at the moment.
Yeah, like, I suppose it's kind of been a funny year in the way it's so short, but like, we have been building every game. Like, the first day out, you know, it was a big learning curve. Like, we probably left a few chances behind us, and then again with Rogue, we had improved that bit more, but we still were missing chances. And I think with Hada, like, things kind of came off on the day. And now again, you're always going to be given out about the scores you missed, but we've definitely improved every match, which is great, and that's what you want coming into the business end of the season anyway.
How much more will you need to improve for Saturday, so considering the challenge that Mourneabbey would bring?
Yeah, like, we're gonna have to be at the top of our game. Yeah, I think you kind of just need everything to fall for you. Like, we're kind of giving out our better forwards most of all, but like, our backs have been so tight and like a real unit back there, so that's been great. We just need to fix it on the other end with a bit of scoring. But like, at the same time, we're still making the chances, you know, so hopefully, like, on the day they just have to come off. So yeah, we're just keeping the fingers crossed anyway that they'll come off Saturday.
And when you think about it, it's a county final with no fans there. It's going to be quite surreal up in CIT on Saturday. Kind of family, friends, supporters who usually go to these games, they'll have to watch it now. At least it's been streamed online, which is brilliant. So what's it like to look forward to a county final where there will be no fans? It kind of must be a bit surreal.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I know the semi-final, it was a weird atmosphere. You know, it almost felt like a bit of a challenge match in a way. Now, you know, there was a lot at stake. But like, even I know my mother and father were devastated not to be able to go. And like, it is great they're able to be streamed. It's not ideal, but yeah, it'll definitely be a year to remember with all these matches that have no crowds or anything like that. Like, I know, like, they would have brought a massive crowd, and we'd have been hoping to bring a huge crowd too. So I suppose it's a bit more on the players to kind of drive each other on. You can't be getting that bit of support or cheering on from the crowd. It's just kind of down to you and, you know, making sure the person beside you is feeling that encouragement. Like,
I think all of West Cork will be tuning in on Saturday evening, and hopefully you get over the line this time, Libby. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck on Saturday.
No problem. Thank you very much.
For the 3rd year in a row, it's West Cork against Mourneabbey in the Cork Senior Ladies Football Final, and we're joined now by manager Brian McCarthy. To cut straight to it, Brian, are West Cork in a better position this year to beat Mourneabbey and finally win the division's first senior county title?
Good question, Kieran. Very good first question. I think we're in the same position we have been the last 2 years, I suppose. Each year we've gained from the experience, but we are getting to a stage now where, look, we're in the final again. We expect to be in the final, and it's now about taking the next step. Look, we know who we're up against. the favourites and the opposition that be, and we know each other very well, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
How big a challenge are Mourneabbey? I know we've talked about them before, like they're reigning All-Ireland champions, they're going for 7 in a row in Cork, they're reigning Munster champions, they've been the dominant force in ladies football for the best part of half a decade or more. So it doesn't get much bigger than this to try and chop down the best football team in the country.
Yeah, I agree, it's a huge challenge. But at the start of the year, you know that at the end of the day you're going to come up against other challenges, and along the way you have to, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the current champions, and look, they are. They, as I say, they know us very well, and we know them pretty well. Being meeting through group stages and in the finals of recently, and they've had the upper hand. However, this year, look, we're there again. Our hat is in the ring, and look, we'll leave no stone unturned to try and win it on Saturday. And I have to say, the whole squad are looking forward to the challenge this year.
There must be a real kind of bounce in the camp at the moment, coming off the back of a weekend where Valley Rovers won a county title, Clonakilty won the intermediate title. So with players from both of those clubs involved, and the fact it is the week of a county final, things must be pretty good inside there at the moment, Brian.
Yeah, it's a good atmosphere inside there, Kieran. You can't say, but that helps. There's no question about that. Success breeds success, and look, I've always said that good players, when they get a taste of success, want more. And going on the training session recently, look, they want this one badly. But look, so do the opposition, and we know what they're about. So look, I think anybody looking at it will see an absolute cracking game.
In the build-up to the semi-final against Aghada, you wanted the West Cork team to be more clinical. You wanted them to be more ruthless in front of goal, and you were that. You put up 9-15 against Aghada. Fiona Keating got 5 goals, and Ganya Terry got 2-8, and it was a much more clinical performance. But when I was speaking to you after, Brian, you made the point that the team still weren't happy. So kind of, can I take from that so that there is still more to come? Like, you still have different levels to kind of hit. We haven't seen the best of this West Cork team.
I think, Kieran, look, if we won the next day, look, scraping through by a point that hit off somebody's knee that went in over the bar, and become county champions, we take it. Yes, you're always looking for better, looking for the perfect performance from players. And I think the standard of players that we have and the opposition have, look, they demand that, and that is where it's coming from. It's been led by the management as well as the players in there, that they're always looking to get better. And that's a great sign. We know the next day, I think it'll be probably a slightly different game to the other 2 previous finals. I think it'll probably be a game where, look, both teams will try to play their styles, and it's who implements their style the better will win it on the day. But yeah, the girls they're certainly up for it, there's no question about that, and looking forward to it.
When we look back at last year's county final, I was up there myself in CIT, and I suppose, to be quite honest and quite blunt, that game was over after 20 minutes. Mourneabbey put up 4-2, 4-3, and even though West Cork did come back in the second half, Mourneabbey built up such a big lead that they always looked comfortable. So for West Cork heading back up to CIT this Saturday, how important is that first quarter? Because if you let a team like Mourneabbey get a run in you, they're very hard to reel in. So I presume you're not going to give too much away about your game plan, but you're going to have to try and keep it tight for that first quarter.
Yeah, I think they're probably the best team that we've ever come across that start extremely well in every single one of their games. Look, going back to the 2 semi-finals, the last day, I have to say I feel sorry for the likes of Aghada and Aero, because we know they're much better than what they did against us, and Aero are much better than what they did against Mourneabbey. But that's something that we've looked at as well, that we've had to get off to good starts. Because I suppose, look, being a team that we have, trying to put girls together and trying to get them it takes 5 or 10 minutes to get into the game. But this year it's slightly different. I think against Aghada we got off to a very good start, and we were clinical in front of goal, as you say, and yeah, it will have to be the same the next day. I think we go through patches where we let the opposition in for 5 or 10 minutes. I think we've got to put in a really, really good performance and hit 95 to 100% perfection on the day to beat the opposition. But look, I think they know the same. I actually do. I think there's a healthy respect between both sidelines and the girls on the field. And let's see what happens.
When you saw the scoreline coming through from Mourneabbey semi-final against Éire Óg, when you saw Mourneabbey put up 11-12, and this is before West Cork went out and played Aghada in the other semi-final, what was going through your head? What were you thinking when you see like a team put up 11-12 is a huge score?
I suppose first of all I felt sorry for Éire Óg because I know a lot of their girls, and I know that they're probably in a rebuilding stage of that particular squad. But it happens, but I think they'll come back stronger again. They have some young girls coming through there that are very good. But look, it does happen. But to be honest with you, Kieran, I was more concentrated on our own game against Aghada than the scoreline against Mourneabbey, because I just felt that, look, we had a game to play. You can never look too far ahead. Just get on with our own business, and that's the mantra this year. Let's get on with our own business. Let's concentrate on ourselves. Let's see what we can do and try and perfect it a lot more than what we've done in previous years.
What I'm looking forward to, because I think this West Cork and Mourneabbey, you've built up such a rivalry over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Like we said, it's the 3rd year in a row you're meeting in the final. Mourneabbey have got the better West Cork at the business end in county finals, but you have beaten Mourneabbey in group stages. And always when you clash, it's a physical battle. Like, you have big, strong players, kind of obviously very technical players, but it's a battle. So the man in the middle on Saturday evening will have he's a big role to play in all this.
Yeah, he does. There's no question about it. Look, whether it's any game or a county final, I think you have 3 teams on the field. I think, look, you have the 2 sets of players, but you also have the referee and referee's team, and they will play a key part. These girls know each other so well. So you're always looking for that extra edge. And look, we all know about the dark arts of football. Look, we've all played it, we know what it's about. And I think the referee and his team the next day just have to be aware of these things and ref the game as he sees it, and not the names on the field. And I think that's where it comes from. And look, he's going to have to be strong, there's no question about that. These players, whether they're inter-county players or county players, will always look for that extra edge. And he's got to be aware, he's got to be very strong.
I suppose you have a kind of a midfield conundrum coming up this Saturday. Unfortunate injuries and so on, kind of, that means you've fielded 3 different partnerships in your 3 games so far. I suppose it goes back to Niamh Cotter and Claire O'Leary from last year not being involved. So you've had Melissa Duggan playing there, Eve Murphy, Siobhan Courtney, and I think it's Emer Kiley, is it? So kind of, that's an important area to field to get right for Saturday night, Brian.
Yeah, it is, Kieran. You're quite correct. We have 3 different sets this year. Look, for one reason or another. Look, at the end of the day, you were asking girls to step up to the mark. And we've been reasonably happy with what's happened in midfield. Look, the next day we know what the opposition will have in midfield, and we will go to play our game. We'll head to respect for the opposition. But I think this year we've concentrated, as I said previously, on ourselves, what we have to do, what the girls have to do, how they have to get better, and whether that's the goalkeeper all the way up to the corner forward, to the girls that come on. It's about being positive on the field, and trying to take the game to the opposition no matter who they are. And we'll try to do that again on Saturday. Midfield is a vital area, but look, so is the half back line, the full back line. So everybody's got to go and play well, and if we do that, we win a chance.
Final question. So, Brian, kind of started off talking about it too, how close West Cork are to winning the first county senior football title. If you can take the experiences of the last 2 county finals, and like this West Cork team, it's a young team predominantly, and it's building and building and building. Do you feel the time is right for this team to step up and show what they can do and finally win that first senior title?
I hope we can, Kieran. I genuinely hope we can. There's a nice belief in the camp. It's not overconfidence or anything like that. We're confident in our own ability. But I think each and every one of us, both on the sideline and inside across the white line, will have to stand up and be counted the next day. Both teams will have their periods of dominance, I believe, and it is who maximises those and who is able to counteract the other person's dominance as much as they possibly can. That's where I think we'll win the game. And look, we're looking forward to it. Yes, it's 3 years in a row. This is where the girls want to be. But no, I think it's a stage where we are at where we need to start winning it, and not be afraid of winning it. It's nice to go up there and enjoy the occasion, etc., etc. But if you want to be a winner, this is where you need to be, and these are the trophies you need to win.
Best of luck, Brian.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff there from Brian and Libby, and that game will be streamed live on Saturday evening, so keep your eyes on social media for a link, because it's not to be missed. Now, before we chat to Lydia Heaphy, I just want to pause for a minute to chat to our friends at Access Credit Union. The Star Sport Podcast is, of course, brought to you by Access Credit Union, your trusted local financial partner. Just recently, I went through the process of opening a current account with Access Credit Union, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it's changed my life. I was able to open the account online during lockdown, which made the process completely hassle-free, and it was made even easier by the great support provided by Access Credit Union team leader Amanda O'Sullivan, who joins me now. Amanda, I understand you can now apply for a credit union loan online as well.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, you can. If you thought applying for your current account was easy, you'll be delighted when you come to us for your car loan. You can apply online just as long as you're registered for your online banking. A couple of clicks and it comes to us here in Access Credit Union. The personal touch still isn't lost. We'll still bring you back and discuss the loan with you. And you can upload any supporting documents you needed, your payslips, bank statements, that sort of thing. We attach them here to your loan, assess the loan, and you can draw it down online. So we aim to do that all within 24 to 48 hours, depending on when you submit your documents. And I suppose it was something that was in the pipeline for a while, but with COVID-19, it sped us up to provide the service. And it's really worked out well for us. And you know, for members being able to access their funds and still draw down their loan, it's been a great asset to us really, and to the community. I suppose, typically people always had to come into the credit union to draw down their loan, and you know, for young people who may not be living in the area anymore, we were inaccessible then. So now we're back in the market for these members again. And hopefully they will support us as we are supporting local businesses. And you know, with every €10 spent in the locality, it generates €40 for the local economy. So in turn, the interest that you're paying on your loan in your local credit union goes back into your local economy. So you know, everyone's helping each other with this.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Amanda. And don't forget, Access Credit Union is your trusted local financial partner. Access your money 24/7 from anywhere in the world with an Access Credit Union current account, and enjoy all the benefits while keeping your money local. This past week in Duisburg, Germany, Skibbereen rower Lydia Heaphy claimed gold at the European Under-23 Rowing Championships. Lydia, who rows for UCC, won gold alongside Kalina Nolan in the lightweight women's pair. Two more Skibbereen rowers, Aoife Casey and Emily Hegarty, came home with medals as well. Kieran, another good showing from the Skibbereen rowers on the international stage.
A superb weekend, I suppose, for the Irish rowing team to start off with. They sent over, I think, 8 crews, and a good chunk of them, I think seven of them got to A finals, which was incredible. So the Irish team brought home 5 medals, I think 2 gold, 2 silver and a bronze, I think. It was great to see Skibbereen rowers involved in that success. Like you mentioned there, Lydia, she won gold in the lightweight women's pair with Kalina Nolan, and they were the dominant force throughout that in Germany last weekend. Great to see Aoife Casey, who's the daughter of Coach Dominic Casey. Aoife teamed up with Margaret Crimmin, and they won silver in the women's lightweight double scull. And then Emily Hegarty, who's from Church Cross, just out the road in Skibbereen, she partnered up with Tara Hanlon, and they brought home bronze in the women's pair. So it's fantastic, kind of a huge medal haul for Irish rowing. And it just shows again that the next wave of talent coming up is really good as well. We obviously know the Gary and Pauls and the Sunita Fosburas and Touchwood with the Olympics going ahead next year. There's a couple of boats, with 4 boats going there, and hopefully 2 more. So Irish rowing is in a really, really strong place, and Skibbereen is playing its part in that, as it has in the last couple of years. And it was great to catch up with Lydia. She's on a training camp in Italy at the moment, so they went straight from Duisburg in Germany for a 2-week training camp in Italy. And it was great because it's the first time that the podcast has gone international to Italy, so it was super to catch up with Lydia a little bit earlier. For the first time, the Star Sport podcast is going to Italy, and we're delighted to be joined on the line by Lydia Heaphy, who won a gold medal at the European Under-23 Rowing Championships in Germany last weekend. First off, Lydia, huge congratulations. Yourself and Clean Nolan took gold in the lightweight women's pair. How does it feel to be a European champion?
I don't know. I don't really think it's sunk in yet, to be honest. It's all just been quite a whirlwind of emotions the last kind of day. But yeah, it feels pretty good, to be sure, anyway.
Talk me through the European Under-23s. They were held over 2 days in Duisburg in Germany. So how did the weekend pan out?
Yeah, so we had our heat on Saturday morning, and we had 8 entries in our event, which is actually quite a lot for a lightweight pair. So we had to win our heat, and we won our heat, so we got straight through to the final. And then it's the reps in that evening, but we didn't have to do the reps. So we won our heat by a good bit. Like, we kind of had the fastest time going into the final, which was on the Sunday. So we kind of got a lot of confidence from that, and we knew we had a lot more to improve on because we never raced a pair before. So we kind of knew it was all kind of new to us, and we didn't really know how we do against other pairs and things. So we just we made a few mistakes, I'd say, in the heat, and I kind of nearly fell in at one stage and stuff. So it was a bit dramatic, but we kind of fixed all that for the final then. So yeah.
Looking at the final, it looked a pretty dominant performance by yourself and Cliona. You were finished 5 seconds ahead of Germany, and Italy were in third. At what point of the final did you realise that you were going to win gold?
I suppose we kind of had in our heads that that it was going to be like a fast race, because, like, you know, the Italians are always rapid the first half of the race. And that we kind of knew that, like, it wasn't going to be a given at all. Like, we'd have to fight to the line, but we kind of made a plan that, like, through the 1K, like the middle of the race, that we'd try and pull ahead and try and make ourselves comfortable. And we were kind of right to expect a fight, because Germany went off hard, and we kind of upped the gear there and pulled ahead a bit, and we just held that to the line then. So yeah, but I don't think it was till about 200 meters left that I was like, okay, I think we have this in the bag, because I don't know, you just don't know what to expect, like, and we're so new to the pair and everything, like, anything probably could have gone wrong. So we were just really I don't know, I wasn't completely convinced we had it won till we crossed the line, really.
It must be like an incredible feeling to get your hands on that gold medal. And I saw you put up on Twitter then that it was like a dream come true to finish off your under-23 days with a European gold. Like, what a way to sign off from under-23 rowing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, it's been such a rocky year this year as well, like, especially with the coronavirus and everything, and we didn't think we'd have any regatta at all. And I was kind of gutted that I wouldn't even get to race my last year under-23. And then, you know, myself and Cliona have only been in the pair 3 weeks. And I've never slept before or rode in a pair until about 3 weeks ago. So to go away and win gold was like, I don't know, I just didn't expect it to happen, to be honest. And it really did just just sign off my under-23 career. And like, there's not a lot of events for lightweight women either. Like, there's only the double, that's the only Olympic event. And there's 4 girls going for that. There's Aoife, Mags Cremin, Cliona and myself. And to go in the pair as another option and to get gold in that, it really just kind of made the year, really. You know, we got something out of it.
It's on now, yeah. Like we said earlier, you're in Italy at the moment, you're on a training camp with the European Championships coming up in a couple of weeks. What's the plan for the next couple of weeks? You're going to do the training camp and then move on? Yeah, so we're in Italy for 2 weeks on a training camp here, and then we go home for 2 weeks, and then we're going to Senior Europeans then, I think it's the start of October. But unfortunately there's no lightweight pair at seniors, otherwise me and Tina would have probably gone in the pair. There's only the lightweight single, and I came 11th in the lightweight single at Senior Worlds last year, and there's a good few girls who I raced there who are racing at the Senior Europeans, so I'll get to race them again, and it'll be interesting to see how I'm doing compared to them, and compare that to last year, and hopefully I'll be just as good as them again, or hopefully better, I don't know, but we'll see. It's also worth 2 weeks. It's also worth mentioning too, Lydia, that 2 other Skibbereen rowers kind of won medals too at the European Under-23s the weekend just gone. Emily Hegarty won bronze, and Aoife Casey, I think she brought home silver as well. So what a fantastic weekend for Skibbereen. Silver, yeah. Yeah, what a fantastic weekend for Skibbereen rowers. Oh yeah, it was a great weekend for Skibbereen, really. Yeah, like, for the whole team in general, like, we got a load of medals, and nearly every crew made an A final. So like, we had like great representation, and
I suppose we really kind of just showed our own, like, out there. You know, we were like very dominant kind of team out there, like everyone performed well, and you know, I think it really showed that we all trained hard during the lockdown. And I suppose the good Skibbereen pedigree stood to the three of us anyway, definitely. So yeah, no, it was great. Like, and it was great to give something back to the club again at home, and everyone at home, and a bit more excitement, I suppose.
And what was it like, I suppose, just go back a couple of months when you were kind of training during lockdown and you didn't know what was going to happen? You didn't know whether you'd have any competition. So kind of, what was that like, training for an object that was constantly moving?
Yeah, it was very hard because, like, you know, we train a lot of hours a day, like, and myself and Clean especially, like, we got up at 8 o'clock every morning and we logged on to like Zoom and trained together, and then we trained then at 4 o'clock in the evening, logged on, and it was all in like a garage, and like we were doing all this kind of, I suppose it wasn't miserable, but it wasn't enjoyable, and we weren't sure we'd get anything in return for it. And it was very hard. Like, we were in lockdown for 17 weeks, I think, roughly. We were down in Skibbereen, and we were like indoor training for the majority of that. So it was definitely really, really challenging.
It's fantastic now. Like we said, you're rounded off your under 23 days with a gold medal. Enjoy the 2 weeks of the camp. I know it's going to be tough over there, but enjoy that, and very best of luck for the seniors coming up.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Kieran. Thank you.
Access Credit Union has always been at the heart of our community through good and bad times. We want to continue to play our part in helping our community through the COVID-19 crisis. As businesses reopen, we encourage our community to work together by staying local, borrowing locally, and spending locally. Access Credit Union is here to help.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast, and before we wrap up today's show, we're going to preview this week's Southern Star Sports section. So Kieran, what do readers have to look forward to on Thursday?
It's GAA season is so hectic at the moment, Jack, and it goes without saying that we've a lot of GAA in this week's Southern Star. I'm going to actually jump to the Carbery Junior A Football Championship for a second, because there were 7 games last weekend, and St James's, the reigning Carbery Junior A champions, are out. They lost to Argylene Rangers, who struck with a late Brian Hennessy goal. So we have a match report reaction from that and from all the 7 Carbery Junior A football games. So it's really kind of, we're down to the quarterfinal stages there now, and it's really hotting up. Kilmacree, I have to say, do look like the team to beat. They beat St Mary's the weekend, and they put up another huge score to follow on from their hammering of Bandon in an earlier round. So for all the Carbery GAA and junior football action, Thursday's Southern Star is a must. Obviously, with the GAA season and the county championships in full flow, we've kind of wall-to-wall coverage from Castlehaven's big win against Island, Newcestown's win against Carbery Rangers in the group of death, Clonakilty bowed out of the senior football championship, and there's so much more going on there. Also, with the Clonakilty ladies winning the county intermediate football final, I think this Thursday's Southern Star is a must for them. It'll be a collector's item. They can frame it. They can get their teammates to sign it. They can frame it and put it up on their wall, because Clon are intermediate champions. So that's all there. Obviously, we have a preview of the West Cork Mourneabbey final, and I've caught up with Anya Terry O'Sullivan, Brian McCarthy, the manager, and Shane Ronayne, the Mourneabbey manager. So there's loads going on there. And also, as well, I have an interview, Jack, with Louise Duggan, who is Melissa Duggan's older sister, but Louise plays camogie, and she's the vice captain for the Inniskeen camogie team that is in the county intermediate semi-final this weekend. So while Melissa is an all-star football defender, Louise's first love is camogie. So it's a really nice interview. And I just want to mention too that Valley Rovers won the Junior A football final last weekend, and we've coverage of that there. So congrats to Valley Rovers. They lost the last couple of finals, so superb to see them get over the line.
Great stuff, Kieran. And that edition of the Southern Star will of course be available in shops across West Cork from Thursday morning, and if you can't make it to the shops, you can always purchase a digital subscription. Just go on to www.thesouthernstarTV/e-paper, and you can read the Southern Star on your computer, tablet or smartphone for less than €2 per week. Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Slán go fóill.